Good morning, Kara.
So I have started this meeting, so it's recording right now. So let's just be cognizant of that.
Okay.
And you
Okay.
you can start anytime you want to, Todd.
Okay. So we're gonna do the same thing that we did last time, straight through, answer the questions, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Okay.
All right. We're gonna let folks see, and we're gonna start in a minute. Good afternoon, and welcome to another wonderful lunch and learn here at the Missouri MBDA. We are excited again to offer to you today Mrs. Cobbs, and forgive me, I should have said the whole name, but to offer to you all today the second part of the series, 10 Lessons Startups Must Master. Please pay close attention. Please break out your pen and your pencil and take plenty of notes. Remember, any questions, leave them in this chat. Pay really close attention to the contact information. You can contact directly. But we're excited for you to be here today, and we're excited to learn. With no further ado, we will get started. Ms. Cobbs, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, and hello, and welcome to everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Kira Cherie Cobb. I am the founder and CEO of Entrepreneur Business Basics, and we have 20 plus years of helping minorities to launch and grow their businesses. And today we're going to be talking about the 10 lessons that startups must master. Startups must master. So we are excited to get started. And even if this is information that you may have already been exposed to, or maybe you feel like you might be a little bit past, it's a good idea for you to just tune in and maybe even consider refreshing branding, refreshing marketing, refreshing customers. But we are excited again. The name of the business is Entrepreneur Business Basics. We have a fully accredited entrepreneurship program. We're also MBE and WBE certified. So today I want to give you 10 lessons that you should be mastering, whether you're a startup or you're in the growth industry. One of the things that you always need to revisit for yourself and for your employees is mastering your why. Why did you start the business in the first place? Maybe your past startup. Maybe you really want to focus on why have you started a new product? Why have you started a new service stream? Making sure that you understand your why and why you are starting or innovating or creating or offering new marketing to your customer base is always important. And we love that because passion is not enough. Maybe you are passionate about a particular product or service that you're offering, but if it is not going to fit into your business model, if you're not going to be able to move beyond passion, you not having enough of what it takes to bring that to full scale or bring it to market is not going to be able to stand the test of time. So master the art of articulating why you. Why does this particular service or product fit your business in your brand in the market space? And why have you chosen this particular business model? So the very first thing you want to be able to master is you want to be able to articulate your why. Why are you doing this? Whether it's a startup, why are you offering this new product or this new service? And actually being able to articulate the why. Number two, lesson for you to continue to be mastering is problem solving. Again, whether you're a startup or you're in the growth venture stage, problem solving is an ongoing thing. You should be asking yourself, what problem is your business model? What problem is your new product? What problem is this new service trying to solve for? And is it a real problem or is it a perceived problem? Sometimes perception can override our need, right? It can override what the reality of us trying to solve a problem might bring to you. And then asking yourself, how do you know? How have you actually verified? Have you tested it? Is there a beta that you want to roll out? You being able to solve the problem is going to be important, but making sure that it's a real problem that needs to be solved and needs to be solved by your business is also going to be key to you being able to continue the growth of the business, or definitely in that startup phase, identifying what your problem is and then getting some real concrete strategies to solve that problem. Ask your customers, no matter where you are in business, whether you're a startup, whether you're in a growth model, whether you're ready to exit the business has kind of come to a plateau, you should always be asking the customer. This should be a regular practice for you as a business owner. You should be constantly trying to collect and understand the data. Do not underestimate the data and the feedback that you're getting. Do your research. Make sure that as you are listening to the customer, that you actually begin to implement what they're saying. This is really what my problem is. This is really what we're finding when we use your services. So do the research. There are so many other research tools that are out there. You're looking for good reporting. McKinsey is a great source of data. They do a lot of different data sourcing. They're a thought leader in many industries. And then sometimes you just need to do a good old-fashioned Google form and ask your customer. Give them opportunity to provide their feedback to you via a survey. We get it all the time as consumers, right? You go to a business, you check out, and the very next thing you see at the bottom of your receipt is what? A survey. If we provided you with good customer satisfaction, please let us know. If there's areas where we can improve, please let us know. That's that constant funneling, that constant filtering of getting what the customer actually wants. So do your research, do your due diligence, and do not skip or do not underestimate the data. The number 3 skill and lesson that you need to be mastering, especially if you're in the growth stage, is understanding your competition. You always have competition, whether it's direct competition or it's indirect competition, and you need to be mastering that. So I'm not saying for you to spend like an exorbitant amount of time studying your competitor, but I am telling you to give some time within your strategic planning, with inside your team meetings, hearing from people that are in the organization that maybe are maybe entry level. They know what their competitors are doing. They know what your competitors are doing. You need to master the art of understanding your competition. That is going to be lesson number 3 for you. When you are evaluating your competition, look at your direct competitors. This is really where a lot of us miss it as business owners. We don't necessarily think that we have direct competition. You'll even sometimes, in a really great positive way, you may be saying, well, you know what? There's nobody out there that does what we do. Chances are that's not true. There's always somebody that's in your industry. There's always somebody that's using your similar business model. There's always somebody that's selling and doing the exact same thing that you're doing, and that is your direct competitor. The example here is fast food. McDonald's and Burger King are direct competitors, and we watched that play out over the years in competitions with commercials, right? Wendy's could fall in this as a direct competitor. They did Where's the Beef? Burger King was like, you can have it your way. You don't have to just get 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. You may not want that. You may want to add onions and take off the tomatoes. So they were in direct competition with McDonald's. So ask yourself the question, who are my direct competitors? Who is doing the exact same thing in the business space and in the market space? Who is selling the exact same product? The interesting thing about identifying your competition is that a lot of times you might not see them as your direct competition, but they literally are, because they are providing a service that your customer sees as your competitor. And all of the competition that you want to remember is, what are you competing for? You're competing for revenue and sales. You're competing for customers. So those are things that you need to be mindful of when you're evaluating who your competition is. You might not see them as a direct competitor, but your customer who's trying to decide between you and them, they're in that competitive mindset. Well, why should I get it from Julie when I can get it from John for half the price? I just need lotion, right? I just need a meal to be served. I just need somebody to come and, create this software and this platform for me. So understand who your direct competitors are and understand who your indirect competitors are. These are going to be businesses that have a similar model, yet a slightly different product. But typically the customer is going to be the same. So if we keep with the fast food example, I'm hungry and I want to eat and I do not want to cook. So I could choose McDonald's, which is a business model for fast food, or I could choose Taco Bell, which is a completely different restaurant menu, right? It's going to be more on the Hispanic Latin feel for fast food. You're going to get the tacos, enchiladas, burritos, tostadas, the quesadillas, versus McDonald's, who's going to do the traditional hamburger chicken sandwich type thing. But you're still vying for the same customer. It's indirect because the customer doesn't necessarily have to have McDonald's or Taco Bell, but they both are going to want to eat. So knowing who your direct competitors are, someone who's doing the same thing, selling the same products the same way, versus an indirect business. That is going to be somebody who's still going after the customer that's hungry, even though you don't sell the same as your competitor. So mastering, understanding your competition, that is a skill that you have to have and need to be doing ongoing, especially as you grow the business. Because who you were competing against in your startup phase may be a completely different set of business competitors in your growth stage. So don't underestimate that. Lesson number 4 is knowing your value proposition. Again, we're talking about businesses that are growing and scaling. What your value proposition was at startup may not be that same value proposition as you begin to scale and you begin to reach the $500,000 mark in revenues, the $1 million mark in revenues. You need to be knowing and mastering what your value proposition is and what it is that you're bringing to the market. So when you're doing your marketing and when you're doing your strategic planning, when you are going back for the year and really paying attention to what the business did over one fiscal year, evaluate your position. Do not assume that you are still owning a certain share of the market just because your revenue has continued to be relatively on a growth pattern. Your value proposition may have changed. So ask yourself, how much of the market do you actually own? I want to challenge you. When you're thinking about answering this question around value proposition, and you're trying to identify how much of the market do you actually own, think about it in 2 ways. How much of the local market do you own? So that's kind of zip code, right? How many communities? What's the demographics in the zip code, the region? And then think about how much of the national market do you own? Where are you finding this data? This is information that can be pulled up on many different databases. But I tell people all the time, start with the US Census, census.gov, and you can key in by zip code. You can key in by demographic. You can key in by NAICS code. Again, evaluating your proposition inside of the market, you need to be able to identify where are opportunities in your market for you to grow. Perhaps you've been focusing on highly dense zip codes, but the rural communities could utilize your product or your service. That's an opportunity for your market to grow. I tell people all the time, do not forget to fish in small ponds. We're constantly trying to find ourselves being, the little fish in a big pond, or trying to be the big fish in the big pond. I'm saying that you could be the big fish in a small pond, and it can still be a huge asset to your bottom line. Ask yourself, what advantage do you have to penetrate the market? If you're rolling out a new product as you're on this growth cycle, if you're rolling out a new service as you're on this growth cycle, you need to be asking yourself this question again. What advantage do we have to penetrate the market in this new lane, in this new space? Where are we going to be able to come in and say, hey guys, move over, we're here, and we're going to be offering some things that you're not offering? Or maybe we're just a direct competitor, but we're showing up in this space now. So evaluate your proposition, know what your value proposition is, and be asking about that continuously. Always be questioning yourself. Keys to good leadership for your growth model, mastering lessons, is always be questioning things. And not just when things aren't going well in the business. Question it when things are going bad in the business, right? Not how can we do more of this? This is really working well. But then also evaluating, like, what is not working over here, and how can we either fix this or eliminate this as an offering? All right, number 5, master knowing your numbers. Now, I know that most of us are probably working with some level of financial integrity, right? There's a checks and a balance, especially if you're in a growth stage. You already have some very good accounting systems in place, whether you're still doing that on your own or you're hiring or outsourcing that work. But you should always be aware of what is making the math. So if you're trying to perhaps launch a business, I want you to pay attention to what's over here on the blue side. Full-time to full-time you. Make sure that you know exactly what your numbers are. If you are moonlighting in business, right? Sometimes we call it a side hustle. Sometimes we call it, we just trying to figure it out to see if it'll work. If you are wanting to make the leap from working full-time to actually being on your own full-time, do not forget to count the cost of that. What is your current financial value individually? What is your current financial debt individually? So what does that mean? That means, how much money do I actually make at my job? Not just what do I bring home. What is the totality of my compensation, right? What is it costing me to have health insurance? What is it costing me to have an HSA account? What is it costing me to have a 401k account or an investment account? Am I going to be walking away from profit sharing and dividends? You want to be able to know what your current financial value is. This is the totality of what I get being an employee. And then you want to take a good look, and you want to put that and mirror that against your total current financial debt. Because a lot of times we are living to the capacity of our financial value, what we're bringing in, and everything's going out the door, right? Our mortgage, our cars, our obligations that we may have with our kids. Maybe you're paying for tuition, whether that's grade school, high school, middle school, or college. Maybe you actually take care of a parent, or you have someone that relies on you financially. Can you afford to go full time? This is for the startup. Are you in a position to borrow? One of the great misnomers about making the math, right? And the lesson here for lesson number 5 is knowing your numbers. One of the great misnomers is that you're just going to start this business, and out the gate, you're going to be able to get business credit and business lines of credit, and we're just going to charge it to the business and get the car in the business name and get the credit card in the business name. Unless you have a very, very high financial valuation of the company out the gate, any borrowing that you do, it is going to be checked against your personal credit. We're talking about making the math. If you're going to go after a small business loan, whether that's from an angel investor, maybe that might be from a micro lender, maybe it's from a traditional bank or credit card, maybe there's some opportunities on a government level where you can borrow against an agency, an SBA loan. They're going to check your personal financials first. So when you're asking yourself that question, is it time for me to jump? Is it time for me to scale? Perhaps you've been in business for 3 or 4 years and you've been able to just run the business off of the revenue, but enable for you to grow, enable for you to go to this next level, you're going to have to borrow. And maybe it's the first time that you're borrowing. I'm telling you, check to make sure your personal financial credit is intact, because the bank is going to want you to perhaps be a personal guarantee on the loan. So if the math ain't mathing, then you need to go back and you need to master the skill of understanding and knowing your numbers. Look at the icon here on this page. Budgeting for your success. Make that a part of your everyday language. You will need to be budgeting personally for your success and for the business sake. So make the math. You got to do that by understanding and mastering, knowing your numbers. Let's take a look at number 6, lessons for startups. I'm going to say lessons for small businesses, because these are lessons that we need to continue to go back and revisit, sharpening our skills. Master the less is more mindset. Master the less is more mindset. So many times when we get out into business and we can maybe do a lot of things, right? We get to corporate jobs, we get to higher education, and we learn how to do multiple things. And sometimes we want to bring that skill immediately into the business, and we begin to do all of the things. And it's not always the best foundation for a startup or even a growth company. Do 3 things great. Find the 3 things as a small business owner that you do very, very well, and then add. Do 3 things great, right? So that could be very similar to the 3-legged stool approach, which many corporations will utilize, and they use that around values and systems. I want you to take that same concept, that same 3-legged stool, right? And move and shift that over to your business offerings. Do 3 things great, not good, not 2 things really good, and 1 thing is just kind of like an afterthought. After you get to offering 3 lines of service very, very well, 3 products that hopefully are either complementary or they build on each other very, very well, then add. Somebody might say, well, I have a retail business and I sell a lot of stuff in the retail space. I sell men's clothing and women's clothing and men's shoes and women's shoes. Those are 4 things already. Well, I want you to think a little bit higher. Perhaps you're doing retail in store really great. So that's 1 thing. In-store retail, we do that very good. We have our scheduling down. We have great foot traffic. We have great and low overhead. We're positioned in the market as a market leader. People come to us because they know us for this thing, right? That's 1 thing that you do very well. Maybe you want to branch out and you want to say, okay, we want to have that same impact inside of the internet, the online world, e-commerce. So the 1 thing that we do really well is we have retail. The second thing that we want to do really well is we want to have a great online presence. So our e-commerce store needs to be powerful. We need to make sure that we have great internet traffic. We have great marketing and sales streams from our online presence. So that would be a way for you to add another thing if you have a business that offers many, many SKUs or many different variety of offerings. One of the things that I would say for a service-based business, for someone who's not selling tangible goods and your model is more on services versus products, think about what services you can provide very, very well. So perhaps you're doing a consultancy agency around mental health. What are the 3 services that you can offer inside of your consultancy at a great level, an excellent level? And once you're able to master those 3 things well, then you should be adding another component to your consultancy agency. So start small, because that's the best way to scale. Sometimes we want to be the one-stop shop. I hear that a lot. And anytime you're a one-stop shop, you got to be doing a bunch of stuff. Because if I only come to you and I get all of my needs met as a customer, you are probably providing a lot of services, but it doesn't mean that you're doing them great. We're talking about being able to have a scalable business model. If you're already in the growth space, we're also talking about you being able to sustain the offerings that you're doing and then adding. So start small. It's the best way to scale. Let me give you number 7 lesson for all businesses to master, whether you're a startup, whether you're in growth venture, whether you're getting ready to exit, especially if you're getting ready to exit. You need to master staffing your weaknesses. You cannot be all things to all people, nor should you be attempting to be. You need to staff your weaknesses. You're not supposed to know everything. You're a person, so be honest with yourself. Many businesses will fail because they underestimate the time, the manpower, and the resources needed to scale, to start, to grow, and work the business. They're just not really being honest about it. Subcontractors are a great way for you to scale. Interns are a great way for you to staff your weaknesses. Volunteers, stakeholders, all are ways to get hands-on in the kitchen without necessarily hiring employees. Maybe you're a business and you are really just in an industry where you have high revenue, but you don't want to take on employees. Subcontracting is going to be your friend, staffing your weakness. Identifying interns at college, university level. That's going to be a great way for you to staff your weakness. Many times those college interns, they need those hours, right? They're saying, hey, I want to graduate with this degree in this particular field, but I have to do a whole semester of internship under somebody else's business model. So you getting outside and networking in those universities and colleges is going to be key to you. Volunteers, you would be surprised at the number of people who will volunteer to help your for-profit business. But you got to be able to see that this is a weakness for me. I don't necessarily want to be sitting around answering the phone all day. I want to be over here making the thing. I want to be over here out of the office. Perhaps there's somebody who would volunteer to staff those hours for you. Maybe they're already retired, but they're still sharp and they still have a lot of skills, and they wouldn't mind giving you 2 days a week. Stakeholders, people who are actually invested in the company. Maybe they bring a skill set to the business. This is so good that they would be willing to lend to you. Why? Because they have some stake in the company. They want to see the company be progressive. So maybe they're a stakeholder, but they're really, really great at finance. And they're willing to take a look and see, do you need a bookkeeper? Do you want to maybe take a look at this? Maybe you need to get it audited. Those are all ways for you to staff your weaknesses without necessarily hiring employees. The biggest thing is that you're honest. Be honest with yourself. And don't feel like you have to take on this imposter syndrome. in order for you to be a successful entrepreneur or a successful small business owner, because honestly, that's just flat out not even good mental health. You are not supposed to know everything, but I've heard someone say you're supposed to know everybody. You're supposed to get to know people because people will help you to staff your weaknesses. All right, number 8. Number 8. I cannot stress this enough. If you are a minority business owner, no matter where your revenue is, you need to master AI integrations, artificial intelligence, generative AI, call it whatever you want, call it Chat GPT, call it Bard. All of the things that we're seeing being integrated in the platforms that we use, you absolutely need to be mastering AI. Why? Because it's not going anywhere. Social media is not marketing. It is a form of marketing, but AI can help you to build your marketing platform. I want you to think about how AI has been integrated into pretty much all of our technology at this point, right? It's really responsive inside of your text messages. It's suggesting what word you might want to say next. At one point, we used to call it autocorrect, right? It's going to auto correct what I misspell, but it was really a function all the time of AI. So if you are feeling maybe nervous about it, maybe you have some conspiracies around it, it's not a perfect science. AI is, in fact, only as good as the people who are inputting the data, but there are so many positive things that you are missing out on if you have not integrated AI into a mastery skill. The easiest way for you to use it, if you haven't used it, is to download OpenAI and just begin to use Chat GPT. Now, the better you are at prompting it, meaning telling it exactly what it is that you're looking for and describing it, then the better results you're going to get, the better output that it's going to give you. But you can do so many things with AI. AI is not going anywhere. It's not going to replace us. But I know personally, I know startups, I know venture growth companies that have won pitch competitions because they said, AI, generate a pitch deck for me. Here's what we do. Here's who we're trying to reach. Here's the industry that we're trying to compete in. And it's spitting out these slides for them. I know people who have won grants because they put all of the information they were looking for to be a grantee inside of AI, and AI wrote their grant proposal for them, right? It needs to be 30 pages long. It needs to have a budget. It needs to have employees. It needs to fill this objective. And I want you to utilize our brand and our demographic and our business model and our offerings and products. And I want you to write me a proposal. Here's what the grantee is looking for. I'm serious. Here's what the grantor is looking for. Here's the timeline. Here's the budget. And then AI is generating these grant proposals. This really could have been a part of the last mastery skill that we shared, which was staffing your weaknesses. AI can help you in that area. What has taken people to do 2 and 3 years long worth of work, AI is cutting that time tremendously. In fact, that's one of the major benefits that we're seeing is that it has more work efficiency, right? It's giving us better time management. It's bringing back all of these work hours, because what it used to take me 5 to 10 days to create this presentation, now with the right information inside of AI, I'm able to produce it in 4 to 5 hours. So make sure that you are utilizing AI, but then also make sure that you do have a strong marketing plan. Know the difference between marketing and advertising, no matter where you are on the bell curve of growth development for your business, because it will change. As you grow, your marketing will change. As you grow, your advertising will change. as you grow, these are areas that you're constantly going to have to check as the business owner. What worked in the beginning probably is not going to work now. Your advertising budget should be about 30% of your startup budget. You need to be allocating at least 30% to advertising and to marketing. When you get ready to do your annual budget for the year and you're forecasting those financial projections, you need to be allocating about 30%. And that needs to be around a person that's doing marketing for you, advertising cost, whether you're trying to reach a certain demographic in a certain medium or way. Making sure that there's money set aside for that is a skill that you will continuously need to master. And then concentrate on a segment of your market. Don't always cast such a wide net. If you know that there is a particular product or service that's really going to meet this niche market for you, then concentrate on that over a period of time and try to grow that part of your customer base. So let's say that you have a business that really focuses on grant writing. Well, people will tell you in the nonprofit world, everybody needs a grant writer, and that might be true, and it probably is true. But then you, as a grant writer, and you having this consultancy around grant writing, you should be concentrating on segments. This is where you want to target and you want to market and advertise to them, right? Maybe you just want to be grant writing from Q1 to the end of Q2 around schools or nonprofit agencies that work in the education space. And then perhaps you want to move that concentration and you want to concentrate on a segment of people who need grants, but maybe they're in the mental health space. Maybe they're nonprofits that help support mental health issues and mental health initiatives. That's what I mean when I say concentrate on a segment of your market at a time. Just casting this big old wide net sometimes is not productive, and it's not efficient. It's not time efficient. It will also help you, particularly if you're a grant writer, for you to know what other agencies are out there, what other nonprofits are out here trying to get this same grant. So those are ways that you can begin to master the use of AI. You know, ask AI, how many nonprofits in the Cincinnati, Ohio area are focusing on mental health? AI will not only tell you who they are, they'll tell you all that you want to know about them. So do not neglect AI. I'm going to say it again. If there's anything that you need to be focusing on, or you need to dedicate a person or some time in your life to, it is around AI. We as minority business owners cannot afford to get in this digital divide. We cannot afford to let this moment in time take our businesses and literally keep them stagnant because we're not using AI, okay? So make sure you are mastering AI integrations. And let's see, number 9, I love this one. Mastering your ecosystem, whether you're a startup, maybe you're in the growth phase, either way it goes, you want to know about the people that your business is around and who you should be around as an ecosystem. I like to really focus on the council part of our ecosystem. Some people may say, well, what is the ecosystem? The ecosystem for small business owners are other support agencies that are in place to help you as a business owner. MBDA is a part of your ecosystem. Your accountant is a part of your ecosystem. Chambers of commerce are a part of your ecosystems. Maybe you also have an ESO that focuses just on Black women entrepreneurs, women business centers. Those are all ecosystem players. Financial institutions, banks, lenders, those are a part of ecosystems. People who offer accelerators and incubators, those are also a part of your ecosystem. But I want you to personally focus on yourself as the business owner and what is the ecosystem that you need to be creating around yourself. So my question to you, and what I want you for the next few minutes before we get ready to wrap up our time together, I want you to write down these 5 categories. Cheerleader, give yourself some space so that you can fill this in as I explain them. Champion, critic, companion, and someone with childlike faith. You need to at least have these 5 folks in your boat with you. So if you think about the really quick biblical analogy of Peter walking on the water with Jesus, and I'm not going to go into a whole Bible lesson, just want you to get this analogy because it's a pretty popular story and most people know it, whether they're Christian or Hindu or whatever, right? Peter walked on water. And Peter wasn't alone in the boat. And a lot of times the story only focuses on Peter walking on water. But Peter had people in his boat. And I want you to know that you have somebody in your boat. You may be the business owner in your community or your family or your group of friends who is seen as the person who can do all things, who can walk on water. But there was a way that Peter was able to walk on water, and a lot of it was because of the people that was in his boat. So you need cheerleaders. You need somebody that's going to be rooting for you on the sidelines, somebody that's watching you get out of that boat, watching you scale the business, watching you start the business, watching you exit the business. This is somebody that's going to cheer for you, and they're going to cheer for you no matter what. You're having a bad day, you call your cheerleader. Oh, you're going to make it, man. Don't quit. Don't give up. Look at all of the wonderful things that you've done. This is somebody who's looking at your life through rose-colored glasses. You need that person in your life as a small business owner. So on your paper or your tablet or however you're engaging with this, who is your cheerleader in your life? Who is the person that knows who you are and knows what you're trying to do in business, and they're always going to encourage you because you're going to need that on this journey. You're going to want to quit. I say all the time, a good entrepreneur is someone who contemplates closing the business down at least once a day because it's a hard journey. Who's your cheerleader? The number 2 person you're going to need in your boat is a champion. Don't get it confused with a cheerleader, because the champion might be someone who's cheering for you in your absence. This is somebody that's putting your business and your business name forward when they say, hey, does anybody know somebody who does detailing? And somebody in the room is saying, hey, I know somebody who does detailing, and they're mentioning you. Perhaps they're championing your business when it comes to a proposal that's being presented to a PepsiCo of the world or a Coca-Cola of the world or an industry giant, and you've submitted your application and they're inside the room in your absence speaking well of you. You need to identify who your champions are. Who are people who are going to nominate you for things, who are going to push your name forward when they're looking for someone to fill this contract? Who is your champion? I want you to write their name down, or I want you to at least be considering it. Particularly because if you can't identify who your champions are, you might need to really be focused on that part of your life when you're networking. Who have I got really great currency in relationship with? Maybe you don't have anyone. That's also a skill that you need to master. You need to be making yourself available and adding value in other people's life so that they would want to champion you. Number 3 is your critic. Not only do you need to know who your enemies are and keep them close to you, you need to sometimes listen to what they said. Now, notice I said sometimes, talking to a smart business owner, because sometimes your critic is giving you the cheat code to how you need to improve. Now, they may be doing it from a negative way, but they may be saying some truth in what it is that they're talking about. So know who your critics are. And a critic doesn't always have to be somebody giving you negative feedback. It could be a good critique, right? Maybe you could ask someone who's on your team, like, how do you think that we're doing? Where do you think we need to improve? So always know who your critics are. And then you need a companion, because business ownership can be a very lonely, lonely space. You have a lot of ideas, you have a lot of pressure, you have a lot of deliverables every day. You're trying to stay ahead of the market, but you're also trying to meet the needs of a customer that's walking into your store right now. You need somebody in your life who doesn't really care about the business aspect, but they care a whole lot about you as a person. How many times have we heard the tragedies and the horror stories of business owners who seem to be wildly successful have mental breakdowns? Maybe they even take their own life. Having a good companion is somebody that when you get ready to take all the hats and the titles and the accolades off, this is somebody who just loves you for you, who's just there for you. Somebody who's like, you know what, you need a break. Let's go take a walk. I saw you get heated in the meeting. You need somebody that you can come home to at night, if that's the kind of relationship that you might want to be in at this moment in your life, and say, hey, I just want to be Kira. I don't want to be the business owner. I don't want to be the influential person in the community. You need a companion. And then lastly, you need somebody with childlike faith. You need a mentee. We're always looking for a mentor, but you need a mentee. You need somebody who you can pour back into. This was lesson number 9, mastering your ecosystems. Why? Because anything that's in a good, healthy ecosystem is always going to grow. Last mastery lesson, and I hope that this was really, really good for you. Lesson number 10. You need to be able to master when it's time to pivot, master when it's time to pause, but know that you should not want to always quit. Here is the lyrics, just a snippet of the lyrics from Kenny Rogers, The Gambler, right? This country western song was out probably in the 80s. And part of the lyrics of the song. So if you've never heard the song, I dare you to Google it on your lunch break or sometime today and listen to he's talking about a card game, right? But these are great lyrics you can transfer into your life, definitely into your business. You got to know when to hold them. When are you doing something in your business model that you need to absolutely hold on to and continue to master and proof and really get in that concept and make it your own? Then you need to know when it's time for you to fold them, right? This is when I fold and I'm going to set this hand out. You guys got it. When are you done with a product or a service that's underperforming? It's costing you too much revenue. It's costing you too much time. Maybe it's an employee that's dragging the business down. They're not showing up to work and they're costing you money now. You got to know when to walk away from a thing. You got to know when to just say, you know what? We need to completely pivot from this business model because it is not serving us. In fact, it's driving us deeper into debt. And then you need to know when to run. So I want you to think about this run part this way. Sometimes we hit a stride in business, especially when you're in a growth season. And you want to just kind of, let's just do what we've been doing. It's working. Why rock the boat? But when you are in tune to your business and when you're paying attention to the numbers, you have staffed your weaknesses, you're operating inside of your ecosystem, you got a great marketing strategy, you're tapping into AI, that might be the time for you to run. We're going to run with this concept because we don't know how long this surge in the industry is going to last, but you'll be able to gobble it up. So you need to know when it's time for you to hold on tight to something. You need to know when it's time for you to bow out this round. Like maybe this just isn't our season for this product. We're going to hold on to it, but maybe this isn't the moment. You need to know when it's time for you to pivot and walk away from your current business model. And then you might get a stride and you need to give it all you've got. You need to know when to run. So I want to thank you. First of all, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for sharing your lunch hour. If you're listening to this now live or later, please add your comments to the chat. We will get those questions answered. And the other thing before I leave, I just want to let you guys know, please connect with me. I'm on LinkedIn as Kira Cherie Cobb. You can also connect with our business LinkedIn profile, which is Entrepreneur Business Basics. We are on all of the medias. So Instagram, Entrepreneur Business Basics. We're on Facebook as Entrepreneur Business Basics. And then we also have our webpage, which is ebbkc.com. We have all of the information out there for you regarding what our services are around entrepreneurship training. We love to do facilitation, which is what we were able to do today with our partners at MBDA. And the other thing that I want to leave you with before we wrap up is that the first week of August, we were able to get some proclamations on some statewide levels for something that we created called Black Entrepreneurship Week. It is always going to be the first week in August. August is National Black Business Week. But as entrepreneurs and as people who serve entrepreneurs, we wanted to take that first week and create Black Entrepreneurship Week. So I would love for you to share with us, what are your plans for Black Entrepreneurship Week? Host a workshop, host a kickback, host a pitch competition, host a breakfast for minority entrepreneur ecosystem partners in your area, host a demo day, host a Black Business Expo or a summit, host an event where you're touring Black businesses in your community and you're giving the community an opportunity to really concentrate on what Black businesses are doing. But whatever you do, do something. Again, Black Entrepreneurship Week, we are the official founders of that, and we're so excited. We want it to spread across the nation. So wherever you are, plan something for the first full week in August, because it is now and forever Black Entrepreneurship Week. And with that, I will stop sharing my screen, and I will thank you for your time and your attention. Thank you so much. Hey, Todd, make sure you unmute.
There it is. You see,
There it
that's
is.
why you're a great facilitator. I wanted to say thank you, and I wanted to say, the one thing about your session is your passion that you have for entrepreneurship and small businesses, and it is amazing to me the depth of knowledge that you go into. That I can remember, when I sit in your sessions, I think about when I was that small business and I had that consulting company, and some of the things that I know now that I wish I would have known way back then. And we did okay, but we could have did so much better. And I think one thing is slide 9 really touched me, because sometimes you don't have that resource, you don't have that cheerleader, or you don't have that, it's almost like a mental health thing with business. It gets very stressful being a small business and trying to grow your business. And you feel like sometimes you're walking uphill with a heavy sack on your back, and the hill gets higher and higher with each step. But I think that, having that support system, which most small businesses don't, I think is very vital and very key to success. Things are going to come, things are going to be out there. But the reference to Paul in the boat and the people who were in the boat with him shows a support system. And it likened me to, I tell people all the time, Jesus sent them out 2 by 2. They watched each other back. They had someone to hold them accountable. And I think that's very important in business. So I thank you, Ms. Cherie Cobbs, for your presentation. And again, put the information in the chat. Please follow her on LinkedIn, the website. All the information is there. We share this information with our network nationwide, and some of the feedback that we receive from that is so wonderful. And so we hope that you all got what you're looking for. We do want you to not forget small businesses, but also what's coming up in August, the celebration of Black Business Month. And so, you know, here at the MBDA, we strive to help all disadvantages, business disadvantages, economically and social disadvantaged businesses. And we strive to make sure that all of them is achieving no matter what. So I thank you, and I'll leave you with that. Ms. Cobb, thank you again for your wonderful presentation.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
sir. Bye-bye.
All right.